So this is the house. Like, seriously, I mean, look at the context where it is. It's just so green around it. It's in the hills. So I just finished a renovation design project in Los Angeles, and it was so much fun that I thought I would share it with you in a video format, and I would show you my thought process. And the project was fun because of two things: because the client was amazing to work with, and I feel like that's very important for me to have a good chemistry with the client so I can deliver a good product, and two, because the project had a lot of potential and I was basically given the green light to do whatever I want and start with a blank canvas, and that's not something that I get to do every day. So that's why I thought this is a project worth making a video about. So if you're interested in seeing how I turned this to this, then please keep on watching. So I just prepared like a quick board here where I wanted to share with you like the context, where the house is, what it looks like, what the client liked and didn't like about the house, and what they preferred to have, and then I will show you the result of what I proposed to them. So this is the house. Like, seriously, I mean, look at the context where it is. It's just so green around it. It's in the hills, has a pool. It's a California ranch house, so it's a very narrow and long floor plan, which was kind of challenging to work with, but we worked around it and we were able to make it work. So they had these giant windows here on the outside, and this is basically the view that you see if you're inside the house, and you can see all the way to the water. On this side you can see the Pacific Ocean, and then they have this huge deck that they can use here, and this is the inside of the house. So the client kind of really bought the house because of the views, but they felt like the interior didn't quite reflect or wasn't quite at the standards of the views. They told me like in the first call that they love to have friends over, they love to have family over, they're constantly entertaining and inviting people over, so they wanted to have the openest of the openest floor plans. They didn't want to have any walls, which is not quite the case right now at their current house. They have a lot of walls, especially around the kitchen and the living room area. They also have a very low ceiling by the entrance. Like, this is probably here is almost 8 feet, which is very low. So they just want to pretty much to like demo everything. So these are some of the views that you can see if you sit here in the family room. Just gorgeous views. And then this is the other side. This is where they have the kitchen, the dining room, and this is the kitchen. Like, it needs some love a little bit. More views here, like they have the barbecue area on the outside. This is the views from the kitchen, some more existing photos here. So if anything about this house was extremely challenging, was actually the roof. It was really the driving force of the design. We had to be very careful about where we place things, and it was very hard to get the angle because I've never been to the house, so I just had to like ask the client to measure kind of the highest point here and then the lowest point here, and then that way I was able to model it and figure out the angle. But I think first things first, when you get a renovation project like this, what I would ask the client is, you can have an introduction call with the client, which is extremely important because I don't take every project. I really have an introduction call, and if I feel like the client and I have a good chemistry, then I will take the project. And sometimes it's like, with more experience I have, the easier for me to spot like red flags in a client. And this client was like, we hit it off. We kind of talked the same language, and he was very open-minded. He was very open to feedback, and he also gave me great feedback. He was so hands-on the project, so which made my job a lot easier because he kind of knew what he wanted, but at the same time he didn't interfere with my work. So after the introduction call, I asked the client to send me the as-built, and I don't even discuss, like in the introduction call we don't even discuss the project. We just like kind of getting to know each other on like a personal level. And then I tell them, can you send me the as-built, because I want to spend some time with the house to kind of understand it, analyze it, see what's there, why is the layout a certain way, was there any addition, was there any renovation that was done before, and that way I kind of like get an idea of what the house is like. Then I schedule a call with them where we talk about the project, because I feel like if you skip the step of studying the plan and then going directly to talking to the client about the project, it's gonna be so hard because they are so familiar with the house. They're gonna start like throwing things at you, and you're like, I don't even know the orientation of the house. Like, hold on a second, I kind of need to like understand it. But if you study the plan beforehand and then you get on a call with them and then they ask you like, oh, you know that room there, I don't like how it's like kind of narrow. And I'm like, okay, I know what you're talking about because I noticed that too. So in that way, you're kind of like on the same level. So that's what I would suggest doing first. Introduction call, get the as-built from the client, then schedule a call to discuss the project. So when you discuss the project, then you tell them, I always start like, tell me what you like about your house and tell me what you don't like about the house. So in the case of this client, they did not like the fact that the entrance was the ceiling was so low in the entrance. They didn't like this part. It felt very claustrophobic for them. That was one thing that they didn't like. They didn't like how the kitchen had so many walls and the living room was kind of like in an awkward space because it's like behind the kitchen. Like usually behind the kitchen is the pantry. So they wanted to make that space kind of more usable. And they also didn't like the fact that this hallway was so narrow and long, which is kind of hard to break because of just the way the house is built. It's a ranch style, so it's very long and narrow, but I kind of had an idea on how to break that. So now that they told me that they didn't like these three things, I was like, okay, tell me, what do you like about the house? Of course, they love the views. Like, how can you not love these views? So they really wanted to maximize the views. They really wanted to have a floor plan where if somebody is standing all the way here, they can see the person standing on this side. And that's the whole point of entertaining. Like when you have people over, you want people to be able to interact with one another. You don't want them to be closed off in separate rooms. So I was like, okay, now that I understood the project, I know what you like, what you don't like, I'm gonna go ahead and model the house as is. Meaning, as if I'm just doing an as-built. I'm not gonna like try to even think about what to design, what to add, what to remove, which was very important exercise for me because when you model it, you really start to understand the house. And the ceiling was the first thing. So when I modeled it, I had to like really understand like every single beam where it's located. And it was a freaking nightmare. It was so hard to design the ceiling, especially. It was extremely hard, but I made it work. So after we have the introduction call, they sent me the as-built. We had our first call about the project. So the first step was to wipe out everything. And this is what I mean by wipe out everything, because I feel like when you have a house like this, it's very hard to keep a few things, delete a few things, and then your brain gets stuck and it's like, are we keeping it? Are we deleting it? I mean, what you're gonna add might not work with what's already there. So I told the client, I'm gonna demo all of this area here, like literally all this part. Let me show you, because the rooms didn't quite bother me. We did some work on the walk-in closet, on the master bedroom, but what really bothered me was the living area, the family room, and the entrance. So I told the client, I am gonna basically turn the plan into this, like a white black canvas, so that's easier for my brain to think. I don't have any limitations and it's easier for me to kind of imagine it from scratch. So I showed the client, I was like, so this is what's gonna look like. It was kind of like a rough rendering that I just wanted to show the client. So this is what the black canvas is gonna look like. I'm gonna remove everything, but I am gonna keep the structure and the ceiling. And he was like, you know what, Malak, just remove the structure. I just want you to do the best case scenario. I don't want you to be thinking about structure, about mechanical and HVAC, because that's really gonna block your creativity. And I was like, yes, sir. I was like, that's awesome. Okay, thank you so much. Because I mean, like I was getting ready for this moment my entire life, because as an architect, I don't always get to not think about structure and mechanical. Like these are like things that you have to like always be thinking about. But I have to say that the reason why I didn't think about structural and mechanical is because the client already had an architect who was local to the Los Angeles area, who knows the codes and the regulations, and he is the one who's going to be dealing with that. So I was in the position where I could design whatever I want and the other architect will make it happen, which is very rare. It doesn't happen often. But I was like, okay, I mean, that's great, thank you. Like I can remove the structure. I don't have to think about columns. I don't have to think about the mechanical or the drop down ceiling, and then we will figure that out later. He was like, yes, let's do that. Yeah, so basically I told the client, this is what's gonna look like. Are you okay with that? I need the green light, especially with a renovation. It's very hard because you might demo something that the client is probably gonna be like, no, I needed that. I like that. Why did you demo it? I want to keep that. And then you have to work backwards. Not a good position to be in. So always like have weekly calls with a client, and the project usually runs pretty smoothly when they catch these things early on. After that, I went ahead and I started space planning, and this is what I proposed to the client. Usually what I do for space planning, so usually, at least here in the US, I have two things that I always like to start with. I always like to start with the kitchen, and I start with the living room. I know this is not usually the case because the kitchen is not as important of a room in like some cultures, like in the Middle East. They always like to tuck it in the back of the house because of the smell, the spices, and the food they have. You know, it's just like usually it's for the helpers. But at least here in the US, the kitchen is a huge part of the house. So the client really emphasized the fact that they want to be able to cook and have their guests right there talking to them and entertaining them. And mostly the views were like this way, so they wanted to have all of things kind of like directed that way. So the kitchen here, if you notice, in the existing kitchen, it was very separate. They didn't have quite an island. They didn't have a way where people would gather around. So I started with that. I was like, okay, let me put my kitchen right here. And you're probably wondering right now, so why didn't you put the kitchen all the way back here? And that's a very valid question, because I was wondering myself too. I was like, okay, let me put the kitchen all the way back here. But the reason why I didn't is because if you notice in the existing photos right here, that back corner of the house is this one. And look at this, look at the ceiling here. It's so low. I think this was like 7 feet. So if you put a counter here for the kitchen, you're not gonna have any space where you put your cabinet, or like it's not gonna be comfortable for a person to stand and work. And my client kind of looked pretty tall, so I don't want him to be under the counter like this, and it's not comfortable. And usually a tip here is find the weirdest space in the house, which this one was one of the weirdest spaces in the house because I think it was an addition. That's why the roof is like doing all kind of sort of things. So this, wherever you have a weird space, put a weird room there. Like, so what I did here is I was like, since I'm gonna have my kitchen here, what is a weird place that can be behind the kitchen? A pantry. I'm like, what? That works perfectly. So I put a pantry here. And you know, it's closer to the kitchen, it's closer to the door. They can bring in the groceries, they can place them right here. They have access from this side, and they also have access from the kitchen. And it seemed like it could even fit some more room. And we were kind of debating where we would put the laundry room, and the wife proposed that she was like, oh, I can actually have the laundry room there too, so it's closer to the kitchen. And so that worked out pretty well for us. So I was like, okay, I have the kitchen here, and I have this space that I can fill out with my pantry. The living room kind of looked already nice. I liked it. So I kept the living room there, and the dining room, I just changed the orientation of the dining room because remember, it's all about the views this way. So I rotated it into like that kind of angle, and that was pretty much the main house. This is the side that was very important for the client. So now the other thing is, so I solved 2 problems out of 3 as of now. So the entrance does not feel claustrophobic anymore. It's a lot more open. I took down the ceiling. It's just, the minute you get into the house, you see the living room, and the kitchen has all kind of relationship to the dining room and the living room. So there's no blockage. So there's no wall blocking the views or anything. So now we have the third problem to solve, which was the narrow hallway. So the narrow hallway is something happened when I was fixing the entrance for them. This powder room, I demoed it. I was like, shit, I don't have a powder room for the floor. So where can I place that? I was like, okay, I demoed this part, so I kept demoing as I was going towards this direction. I even demoed this and I demoed that. So I was like, I am gonna break down the hallway. Instead of having to go through this door, I'm gonna have it open. So you just come in, and then you can go this way and this way. It is still pretty long, but it is not as like one straight line. And to allow me to have kind of like that turn, I put a powder room here, and I moved the office to the side here, and I just extended the bathroom. And before, they had a laundry room somewhere here, but remember, the laundry room now is behind the kitchen. So that gave me more space to allow for the bathroom, and I did a coat closet here. So now that you kind of get familiar with the plan, I can go ahead and show you what it looks like in Revit. So this is the entire house in Revit, and you know, I had to of course do the beams, etc., model all the cabinets, model the kitchen island, model this side of the living room, and then now I can show you the renderings and what it looks like. And this is what I did with the house. So you first come in, and another tip here that I'm showing you the rendering is, you see this wall here? It is a really, really long wall, which was almost this here, this wall. This wall here is almost 24 feet wall, which is gigantic. So when you have a wall that big, just embrace it, like make peace with it and just make it a feature wall. Don't try to like have it all white and then slap a TV on and then that's it. It's gonna look really plain and sterile. So add some kind of things to it. And what I decided here to have a feature wall, and I just wanted to have like kind of shelving and stuff, and I have like some LED underneath to give it some pizzazz. And this is what it looks like. I was pretty happy with how it turned out. So remember, the ceiling was kind of the driving force. I really had to keep that angle, and I had to kind of work around it. So it goes all the way there, and then the ceiling comes down, and then the client wanted something very modern, very clean in terms of interior, and I had the TV there for them. I had an electrical fireplace. They have the living room there, and then when you come in, of course, this is the house. You come in, this is the first thing you see, and then voila, everything is very, very open. Like you can be all the way in the corner, in the corner here, and you can see everything. Isn't that cool? That's pretty cool. So okay, so that's the living room. Let's get a little bit closer here. You got the dining area. We wanted to keep the fireplace that was already there, but kind of like give it a modern look. I wanted to just open up as many walls and windows as I could, so I did more window. This one was not existing, so I added that. And I wanted to like kind of mimic the slope, because again, when you have something that is very prominent in a design, don't try to fight it, especially if you cannot change it. I was not able to change this wall to a flat wall, so I was like, you know what, slanted roof, I am gonna be your friend. I am not gonna try to clash with you. So if you go here and like you make a square window, you're gonna clash with that roof like big time. So I was like, okay, you want to slope? I'm gonna slope my window with you, and that way everything works harmoniously. Is that the word, harmoniously? You get what I'm saying. So everything kind of works as like one family. So yeah, that's my dining room, and then you turn this way, and then we have the beautiful kitchen, and we have an island, have the sink on this side, because again, remember, the views are behind us, so if you are cooking, you want to be standing here looking out. So we have the sink there, we have our stove, and then we have another kind of mini bar counter here for more people to kind of gather around while the person is cooking. So here I added like a little kind of work area, because the wife, she didn't have an official office in the house, and like the husband, he has his official office, but she didn't. So she was like, oh, can you just like put a little workspace area there for me? So that is that. And now we're gonna go behind the kitchen, where we have the pantry, remember? So if we go here, so before I go into the pantry and the kitchen, I just added this French door. I mean, it could have been just like a plain black door, but I wanted to add like something a little bit elevated, so I decided to like add a French door so you can kind of see through it and it doesn't look like you're kind of hiding things behind. So French doors are usually like a bit more elevated in terms of design, and they can add like a little touch to the space overall. So when we go inside here, so we have our pantry here. So remember the ceiling that I told you about? This is really low, so it kind of worked out for a kitchen and for a pantry and a laundry room. So we got our pantry there, and then we got our laundry with a sink. Yeah, so the sink is something that they didn't have before, so they wanted to add the sink. So, and then we can come out here, and then you get out on this side of the house. So again, you can access the pantry either by through this door or through the door over there in the kitchen, in the French door. So now I'm gonna show you the other side of the house. It's nothing exciting, but I think it would be just kind of nice to show you the narrow hallway. Remember, I broke down the hallway, and then I had like this kind of a dead end, not a dead end, but it kind of had like this weird wall that had like nothing in it. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna put a coat closet there. So I put a coat closet. So you come in this way. Remember, I added the powder room here, so I'm gonna take a look at the powder room inside. Nice. We have even a shower. I was even able to get them a standing shower because I was able to push the wall a little bit into the office, which, I mean, it's still a decent size office. So you come in, you see the office here, and then we're gonna continue. This is the hallway. This is another bathroom. The hallway, see the hallway, because I broke it down, it doesn't seem too long and narrow. Like it feels fine. It is still a hallway. You still have like doors left and right, but it's not, you don't feel as claustrophobic. And I also added a skylight there, so to just bring in more light. And this is another bedroom, and then let me show you the master bedroom. And this was the master bedroom. They have a master bathroom. Sorry if you're getting dizzy because my computer is so fast, so it's just like going really fast. And then here I have the closet. And yeah, and that's pretty much it. That's pretty much the entire house. So if you just look at it from the outside, you have these sliding doors in every single room. So whatever you are in the house, you can access the backyard. Yeah, so this is the main area here again. So you come in inside, and then you have your interior, and that's it. So I'm gonna just go back to the presentation I kind of showed you here. So after I did the plan, I usually do a 3D plan for the client, so they can really see everything. So if you remember, you come in here, this is your living area, this is your dining area, this is your kitchen, this is the back of the pantry and the laundry, this is your powder room, this is your office, this is your coat closet, this is your bathroom that serves these 2 bedrooms, this is your master bathroom, and the walk-in closet. And the way I do this 3D plan is, so I go to Revit, and if this is my house in Revit, I have a section box. I drop the section box all the way down until my ceiling gets cut, and I have my Lumion plugin directly to my Revit. So when if I go now to Lumion, because I cut the entire house in half, and this is what it looks like. See, like I'm having, like if we go inside, isn't that cool? I just like, can you imagine having a ceiling that comes off? It's like one of those convertible cars. Pretty cool. So yeah, this is pretty much how I get. You can see all my books here floating from the shelf and everything. But yeah, so this is pretty much how I get my 3D. Okay, whatever. So yeah, this is what it looks like. And I just render it. But anyways, so I'm gonna go back to my board here. Again, I get my 2D plan, I get my 3D plan. I have some of the renderings here of the before and after. So if you notice, this was the previous house, this was the previous layout that they have. This wall looks kind of pretty sad, so what I did here is I added a feature wall. I have my nice shelves there. Everything is very open. This is the dining area before, and you can see how there was like a harsh segregation between the kitchen and the dining. We don't have that anymore. Everything is very open. Same view here. If you notice, the kitchen is behind this wall. Now it's exposed. Some more renderings. This is a rendering of this area here that was kind of a living room, which was really weird. Like, how can you have a living room in the back of a kitchen? And this is what it looks now as a pantry and a laundry. This is the coat closet, and that's pretty much it. So I feel like now with this layout, the client was very happy with it. We did a few revisions, but it stayed the same. But now I feel like that's an interior that's kind of to the standard here. So if you have friends over, they're gonna be very impressed by the interior, and they're also gonna be very impressed by the exterior, by the pool, by the views, by the ocean, and everything. So that's pretty much it. That was everything I do when I have a project like this. I had so much fun working with the client. He was an awesome guy. His wife also was very, very sweet, and I'm looking forward to doing other projects with them. So let me know what you thought of the transformation. Did you like the before better, or did you like the after better? What do you think of the house, the exterior of the house? What do you think of the views? I want to know your comments. Please leave them down below, and as always, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.